The pursuit to uncover the hidden truths of our hidden history brings us deeper into the investigation of pre-flood archaeological structures, or those that date from before the Great Flood that was described in the Christian book of Genesis of the Bible's Old Testament. These structures usually date back much older in history, having bore witness to the great catastrophe that was written about in Scripture and have somehow managed to survive all the way into the present. These ruins are usually considered of great historical significance and often possess special qualities about them that allowed them to persevere through the worldwide flood. Massive burial sites hidden in the desert to cities that were allegedly built by giants, the study of these very old sites allow us to unravel the mysteries of early human history and to piece together the true story of the Great Flood that is mentioned in the ancient folktales of almost every civilization in the world. While several of these alleged pre-flood discoveries are noteworthy on their own, the discovery of one site in modern-day Turkey may just be the most archaeologically significant of them all. Located on the western coast of Turkey, bordering that of the Mediterranean Sea near the town of Selçuk, the Mausoleum of Bellevue stands as one of the largest ancient mausoleums in the area, countless tombs that have been preserved since the Hellenistic period between 323 and 32 BCE. The burial chamber, having been carved directly into rock, is about 29 meters in length and 10 meters high, with a second floor having been constructed but was never completed. The entrance to the tomb was originally hidden behind a marble slab, keeping it hidden from explorers until its eventual discovery in the 1930s. Many archaeologists that have studied this site believe that if the site were allowed to have finished its construction, it would rival other famous ancient structures of the period, like the Great Pyramid of Giza and the Roman Colosseum. Modern studies suggest that a finished version of the structure would reach closer to 35 meters in height and would also adorn the pyramid shape that was common for burial sites at the time. Remaining evidence of this optimistic plan for the structure can be observed in a massive, incomplete sarcophagus that was discovered in the central burial chamber. The coffin, which has a lid that was designed to look like a man, originally was adorned with a crown on his head and holding a bowl, as well as the presence of his servant standing nearby. The garb of the figures on the coffin's frelic suggests that the mausoleum was constructed by the Persians, who were known to have claimed the territory during this time. This ancient site is significant in the baffling complexity of its building materials. In the process of detailing the mausoleum, an approximate amount of 2,500 cubic meters of marble would have been sourced, most likely from the surrounding area. Carved into the marble would be depictions of Centauromachy, a common subject of Hellenistic art in which mankind battles the half-human, half-horse centaurs in a struggle to overcome barbarism. Additionally, several statues have been recovered from the site, including those of lions with wings meant to recreate the mythical griffin. Archaeologists predict that the ornate nature of the chamber is because it was intended to be the burial site for Lysimachus, one of the successors to none other than Alexander the Great. Lysimachus, following Alexander's passing, would rule most of Asia Minor, including western Turkey. Serving as the final resting place to such an important figure would require a certain amount of magnificence for the site. However, Lysimachus would be killed during the Battle of Corupedium against the Seleucid Empire in 281 BCE, being entombed elsewhere before the mausoleum was completed. It is believed now, however, that the site was at one point the burial site for Antiochus II Theos, who was the grandson of the king that defeated Lysimachus. Conclusively, the Bellevue Mausoleum is enigmatic to most historians, simply in how well of a condition the tomb has remained in for so long. Most sites during this period have long since eroded to the sands of time, and are only known about through ancient record-keeping or through buried piles of rubble that had long since collapsed. Across the Atlantic and into South America, another enigmatic location is observed. In modern-day Bolivia, the ancient city of Tiahuanaco stands as one of the largest archaeological sites on the entire continent. However, its true significance lies with the mystery of its inception. For centuries, time after time, native peoples of the area tried to uncover who actually built this ancient city, to little success. The city's age has been subject to speculation, with various archaeologists giving radically different dates in the last several decades. It was originally thought to have been built and inhabited around 1580 BCE and was then updated to be around 200 to 300 BCE. However, that was changed once again when European scholar Arthur Posnanski used the presence of the site's many astronomical landmarks to calculate that the site was built approximately 17,000 years ago, making it one of the older remaining human settlements on Earth. As to which civilization is responsible for creating the city, most historians credit it to a civilization that came long before the ancient Peruvians were around. The residents of Tiahuanaco were known to have interacted often with the Wari peoples, who would inhabit the area until about 1000 AD. On the surface, the area of the site spans about 4 square kilometers. This estimate alone puts the size of Tiahuanaco at about 3 times larger than the Great Pyramid of Giza. However, recently a series of underground chambers have been discovered using modern infrared technology, which suggests that there is more to the city's contents than just what can be observed on the surface. Archaeologists have remained baffled by some of the stunning structures that have been found at the site. One of these amazing monuments includes the Gateway of the Sun, the name given to a colossal archway found in one of the city's main courtyards carved from pure sandstone. The blocks that make up the gate are covered with the iconography of the ancient peoples, etchings of animals and celestial beings, and is thought to have been used as some sort of ancient Tiahuanacan calendar system. There is also the presence of an assortment of human-like statue figures that are constructed throughout the perimeter of the site, one of which, being named the Bennett Monolith, was discovered in one of the underground chambers and is recognized to be the largest monument of its kind in the region. Despite the site's rather mysterious origins, several myths from these ancient peoples have survived into the modern day. In one, it is said that the once great city of Tiahuanaco was built by inhabitants long before the Incan civilization, a race of giants. These giants supposedly lived in the surrounding Andean highlands and commonly appear in local folk tales. In one account, indigenous peoples would take a pilgrimage to a mountain that was considered religiously sacred, and while conducting rituals, they had discovered a large tomb that contained the body of a giant. Allegedly, their skeletons had large skulls which possessed protrusions extending from the back of their heads. While no biological evidence of giants has been found in the area, their existence would definitely be somewhat of an explanation of how the people of Tiahuanaco were able to accomplish such astounding archaeological feats during their civilization's lifetime. However, what if there was site much older than Tiahuanaco that would threaten to warp of understanding of history even more? In 1995, German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt would find a place hidden so well within the mountains of Turkey that it had remained unknown to modern humans for more than 11,000 years. The site, dubbed Göbekli Tepe, or Belly Hill, would contain findings so grand that the discoveries within are still reshaping the study of early humans to this day. As the name suggests, Göbekli Tepe was built into the top of a hill, consisting of 20 sets of limestone pillars arranged in circular formations, with the biggest one spanning 20 meters in length and having stone pillars that are 5.5 meters tall. While at first appearing to be similar in nature to Stonehenge, archaeologists would conclude that the process of making the large columns would be much different. The architects of the structure would carve into the bedrock of a nearby hill, using the slope to easily chip away at the surface stone using wooden tools and flint. Once the shape was formed from the side of the hill, a pulley system was used to haul it to the site, depending mostly on sufficient manpower to pull the pillar with logs underneath for traction. Shortly following the Göbekli Tepe's discovery, it was hypothesized that the construction was a collaborative effort between several hunter-gatherer groups within the area, and they would often coalesce at the top of the hill to engage in burial ceremonies or shared rituals. This is a profound revelation for ancient history. At the time of Göbekli Tepe's construction, around 9600 BCE, early humans were not known to have yet domesticated plants and animals. Our understanding at this time was, it was only once farming began to become a common practice were people able to create settlements in order to jumpstart civilization. Religious sites, such as this one, were a result of our ancestors thriving in a singular spot instead of endlessly wandering the earth as nomads. However, this site contradicts our understanding of hunter-gatherer groups, suggesting that the presence of religious beliefs is actually much older and more crucial to the lives of our early human ancestors than was previously thought. Even more so, it would later be uncovered in later excavations that the area may have in fact been inhabited permanently. Items like foundations for houses and canals used for collecting rainwater suggest that the site was actually a town full of inhabitants, with the ritual grounds being present on top of the hill in the city center. In the present, Göbekli Tepe still holds many mysteries that have yet to be solved by modern historians. The presence of various animal drawings, such as those depicting foxes, snakes, vultures, and leopards, hint at the possibility that perhaps the inhabitants had a relationship with such uncommon animals that we simply have yet to understand. As to what shocking revelation will be found there next, only time will tell. On the other side of Asia, on the farthest reaches of the European continent, another baffling site sits undisturbed, ripe for scientific study. These ruins are particularly significant, however, in that they hold complex, mysterious glyphs that leave us confused as to what their true meaning is to this day. About half an hour outside of Dublin, Ireland, the ruins of a site now dubbed Newgrange sits in quiet solitude, in a fertile valley along the Boyne River on the eastern coast. This site consists of a man-made circular hill with 97 massive stones elevating the surface and creating a subterranean chamber beneath the mound. The site dates to have been erected around 3200 and 3100 BCE, dating it to be around 5,000 years old, predating both Stonehenge and the Great Pyramids of Giza by centuries. Having been constructed during the Stone Age, archaeologists estimate that the construct would have taken at least 20 years, an astounding feat of organization for the time period. Of those 97 stones, many are adorned with etchings depicting complex spirals, lattice patterns, checkerboards, and other abstract pieces of art. The most intriguing design choice of Newgrange, however, can be observed during the winter solstice, where sunlight will align with a crevice on the top of the mound and illuminate the central hallway, all the way into the main chamber underneath. While no remains have been found to conclude for certain, the leading theory for what the ruins were used for is that they were meant as a tomb for their deceased brethren to cross safely into the afterlife, similar to tombs found for the pharaohs of Egypt. One of the most mysterious aspects of Newgrange is how such complex architectural feats were accomplished. Inside the complex, the ceiling is raised as high as 20 feet, and the structure of 3 smaller rooms that coalesce together to form a cross. The fact that the tomb was constructed without the assistance of measuring tools or even a system of written language makes its construction bewildering to historians. Some theorists even claim that the 3 chambers inside are meant to represent female reproductive organs. Additionally, The many large spiral diagrams could possibly represent modern diagrams of our solar system or even the waves of a huge flood that once occurred in our ancient past, perhaps the same one mentioned in biblical scripture that was said to have devastated most of early civilization. In the inner chamber, the roof was so precisely sealed that it is virtually waterproof, allowing not even a single drop of rainwater to enter. So, is it possible that the people of ancient Ireland were so advanced and so well organized that they were able to not only create the massive tomb, but also calculate the placement of the sun without the use of modern mathematics? If so, what would be the reason for their sudden and mysterious demise? We may never find the truth for ourselves, but Newgrange stands as a subtle reminder that there are many things about the ancient world that we still cannot fathom. Those are some of the most impressive ancient ruins found around that world that predate the apocalyptic flood as described in the book of Genesis. While these amazing structures have both the great waters of the flood and the test of time for several millennia, the people who constructed them have long since vanished, leaving little detail for how they were able to create such perplexing structures, and archaeologists scratching their heads. If it was possible for these inhabitants to have survived such an event, surely their story is buried in one of these many enigmatic places, waiting to be solved by modern science.